Welcome to the deep dive. If you've ever felt that travel is somehow more than just getting away, maybe even a kind of internal shift, then this deep dive is definitely for you. We're not talking about booking flights or hotels today. We're looking at travel as something else entirely, an ancient, mandatory spiritual quest. Our mission today is really to unpack this rigorous philosophical requirement. It's from the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood. Candidates seeking their higher degrees, they must travel widely, intentionally. So the question is why? Why is global exposure non-negotiable? Why is it seen as fundamental, maybe as much as meditation?
Well, it really boils down to theory versus practice, doesn't it? The sources are quite clear on this. They call this travel mandate their premier spiritual tool. It's designed specifically to forge tolerance, wisdom, and crucially, genuine humility. You see, for the Brotherhood, this idea of the unity of all beings, it just can't stay as a nice, comfortable theory learned in a classroom. It absolutely has to become a raw, sometimes messy, lived reality. Travel is what makes that happen. It converts the abstract into actual experience.
Okay, let's dig into that straight away. If the aim is spiritual expansion, how does just moving geographically help? The sources say travel is essential for opening the eyes of the soul, forcing you, the candidate, to witness the incredible diversity out there, different ways of life, different beliefs, cultures across continents. And this experience, it's meant to give you this immediate, almost overwhelming sense of the universe's grandness, its scale.
And what's really fascinating is how they explicitly link this physical act back to their core esoteric tools. Specifically for the candidate who's reached the initiate degree, they work a lot with the symbol of the cosmic ocean. Now, this isn't literal water, obviously. It's more a conceptual container. It represents the infinite potential of the universe, the boundless source of everything.
Okay, so how does hopping on a plane connect you to this cosmic ocean concept?
It's the analogy, you see. Travel works just like the symbol. When you're immersed in your own culture, your own little world, your consciousness feels, well, bounded, defined by what you know. Your ocean feels kind of small, like a familiar pond. Travel just blows the lid off that pond. It forces members to experience the sheer expansive nature of life itself, confronting new realities where your personal rules, your assumptions, they just don't apply. It's like a direct physical proof that your local world is just one tiny drop in that vast cosmic ocean of universal consciousness. It makes the infinite feel relatable.
That makes sense, linking the infinite potential with physical movement. But it is interesting, isn't it, that the sources connect this quite esoteric requirement to very well-known public wisdom. The Brotherhood seems to go out of its way to ground this niche mandate in globally recognized tradition.
Oh, absolutely. And that choice is very deliberate. They're basically showing that their mandate isn't some isolated, weird idea. It's a universal spiritual command echoed elsewhere. Take how they use the Bible. They point to Matthew 28.1 time. Go, therefore, and make disciples of all nations.
Wait a second, though. Most people here make disciples and think conversion, right? Proselytizing. Given the Brotherhood's focus on unity and non-judgment, how do they interpret that?
Ah, yes. This is where their unique lens really comes into play. They completely strip away that proselytizing layer. For them, disciple simply means a student and sharer of wisdom. Nothing more, nothing less. So the command to go forth into the world isn't about converting others to your view. It's about recognizing that wisdom is spread out, it's geographically dispersed. It becomes this universal call to explore, to learn, and then to share the universal truth you find across all those boundaries. It justifies leaving your comfort zone.
Okay, that reframing makes a lot more sense in their context. And they also bring in the Torah, Deuteronomy 6.57, emphasizing teaching and loving across distances.
Exactly. It's another way to remind members that the spiritual journey isn't confined to just one community or one teacher. The command is to weave spiritual practice into daily life and share it broadly with your family, neighbors, and crucially, the wider world and everyone in it. They're essentially arguing, if you claim to love the divine, you must seek out and engage with every reflection of the divine, no matter how unfamiliar or different that reflection might seem at first.
And that ties directly into the first big virtue this travel is supposed to cultivate.
Yeah.
Tolerance. But, tolerance can be taught. You can read about it. If travel is mandatory for higher degrees, how do they argue that physical exposure achieves something study alone can't?
Because exposure shatters those comfortable assumptions we all hold. Tolerance learned from a book is intellectual. It's abstract. Tolerance earned out there on the road, that's visceral, it's felt. To truly walk their path of unity, candidates have to encounter the full spectrum of human experience. And that includes feeling confused, maybe uncomfortable, having to rely on strangers, and importantly, having your own core cultural beliefs challenged, maybe even proven inadequate in a new context.
That's the messy, real-world engagement you mentioned earlier.
Precisely. And they capture this so well when the text brings in the Sufi perspective on the path of love. The teaching goes something like this. When you are on the path of love, all human distinctions, race, culture, religion, background, they just become insignificant. You only see the divine spark in every single being.
Hmm.
But achieving that kind of vision, it requires constant, active practice. It's not automatic. If you just stay within your own group, your own tribe, those distinctions aren't just significant, they often define your whole reality. Travel forces them to become insignificant.
So the Brotherhood takes that Sufi ideal and turns it into a very concrete instruction. Higher degree candidates are actively encouraged, maybe even required, to go to distant lands, meet their brothers and sisters there.
Mhm.
And this seems key to receive the knowledge and wisdom that those local communities hold. It's not about going there to teach them.
Exactly. It's an exchange built on equality, on parity, this global give and take. It forces tolerance and unity to become natural states. Because you have to rely on and genuinely learn from people whose lives might look completely different from yours. You're basically learning a universal truth, but through diverse local lenses.
That need to rely on others in unfamiliar places seems to flow right into the second big virtue, humility. As candidates move up, they're expected to become guides, leaders, highly respected figures. But the Brotherhood insists that true leadership has to come from profound humility. How do they justify forcing a respected leader way outside their area of expertise?
Yeah, that's a great question. And this is where they bring in another deep wisdom tradition, the Kabbalistic teaching of Bittul. It roughly translates to self-nullification.
Wow, Gatul, that sounds intense. What does it actually involve?
It is pretty intense conceptually. It's the intentional process of lowering the ego, quieting the self-importance, specifically to allow the divine light within you to shine brighter. It's about stripping away your sense of personal status, your local achievements. So imagine a candidate who's, say, a successful doctor or respected community figure back home. Suddenly they're in a place where they can't read the signs, can't ask for basic needs, totally dependent on the kindness of a local, maybe even a child, to translate. That immediate reduction of status, that powerlessness where their usual influence means nothing, that's the core experience of Bittul.
Right. It instantly puts you in the position of a beginner, a dependent student.
Right.
That's a powerful way to cultivate humility. So how does travel specifically encourage that state?
Well, it forces the individual to see their own smallness in the grand scheme of the universe. That's the phrasing they use. When you step completely outside your known system, all the ways you measure your success or status back home, they suddenly matter much less than your simple ability to connect human to human. You realize you're but one thread in the vast tapestry of life. You're humbled, really, by the sheer diversity and complexity of existence that just carries on perfectly well without your specific input or local expertise.
And that realization, that humbling, is positioned as the essential prerequisite for real spiritual wisdom and for compassionate leadership. It reminds me of that quote from Grandmaster Waxira, "When we walk in the footsteps of others, we see the divine in places we never expected." True humility is recognizing that no matter how much we know, we are all students on this journey, learning from the world around us. Travel forces that learning from unexpected places.
Exactly. And this commitment, this focus on humility and tolerance across borders, it isn't just some abstract philosophy for them. It's actually built into the operational structure of the whole organization. The Brotherhood actively creates opportunities, as they put it, for these specific kinds of exchanges.
Okay, I want to zero in on that operational side for a moment, because this seems crucial to understanding how this actually works in practice. What specifics do the sources give? Are candidates just, given a backpack and told good luck, or is it more structured?
Oh, it's definitely structured, especially for the higher degrees. This isn't just a quick tourist trip. The sources imply candidates often have to stay with local communities or at Brotherhood centers for significant periods, maybe several months, enough time for genuine immersion. The aim is clearly to build real, lasting bonds that go beyond geography, establishing what they actually call their global network of unity.
So if I were a candidate on one of these assignments, what would be expected of me? Just observation. Writing a report.
No, definitely not passive. The expectation is active contribution. You'd likely be expected to participate in the local center's activities, could be study, community service, cultural sharing, whatever their focus is. And then crucially, you're expected to bring that specific localized wisdom back to your home center. It creates this dynamic, circulatory system of knowledge and experience throughout the Brotherhood. The network is literally sustained by this requirement. Every high-degree candidate feeds back unique global insights.
That sounds incredibly ambitious. They're essentially using the spiritual development path of their members to fuel a kind of global intelligence network, but focused on shared wisdom and lived experience.
That captures it really well, and it speaks directly to their ultimate mission, which they state is the elevation of consciousness across the entire world, not just within their own ranks. They see these global interactions, these exchanges, as absolutely essential for that larger spiritual project. The individuals reaching the higher degrees become agents of this global upliftment, ideally informed by a perspective that truly encompasses all of humanity.
So pulling this all together, if we synthesize this powerful belief system, what connects the members isn't primarily geography or culture or even language. It's the shared universal truths: love, wisdom, unity. And travel serves to constantly confirm these truths by exposing members to the vast, beautiful diversity of life. The fundamental realization seems to be that every single soul you meet on these journeys is viewed as a reflection of the divine.
That really is the core takeaway. The travel mandate isn't about collecting passport stamps or cool stories. It's a rigorous practice. It's about collecting insights, forging connections that constantly reinforce the spiritual interconnectedness of everything, making unity not just an idea, but a daily lived reality.
So for anyone seeking those higher degrees within the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood, we've seen today that travel is far more than just a box to tick. It's a mandatory, deeply transformative spiritual practice, designed explicitly to open the mind, expand the heart, and deepen the soul's connection with what they call divine oneness. And it does this by forcing the candidate to embody tolerance, wisdom, and, yes, profound humility through direct experience.
Right. And ultimately, this brings the journey home for all of us, doesn't it? Whether we're part of this brotherhood or not. Travel, in this sense, reminds us that even though we walk very different physical paths in life, maybe we are all united in the same fundamental divine journey, the journey of awakening. So perhaps a closing thought for you, the listener. What personal mandate could you set for yourself? Something that deliberately pushes you into that state of battle, maybe, where your own local accomplishments or status kind of dissolve in the face of something much bigger, more universal. What requirement, physical or spiritual, to transform unity from just an idea in your head into a truly felt, lived reality?